Hi everyone, Tony Tonkin here. Thanks for being with me. I just want to say to everybody, thanks for watching CPP TV. I just want to make a comment as a political party about the issues relating to McCormick and others within the Liberal Party, stating that that firstly what happened in the US was just unfortunate last week. I mean, I don't know whether we could say that what's happened in the US over the last 4 years is totally unfortunate. My father often used to say to me, you get the politicians and the political party you deserve. So I don't know what great sins the United States have committed, but they must be horrific in that they got Donald Trump. But what is concerning me at the moment is that we in Australia, our leaders, that is McCormick and others, are talking about the fact that the incidents last week in the US were unfortunate, and that as unfortunate as they were unable to label them as chaos, as devastating, as sad, as defiant. A resistant movement, a attempt to take over a democratically elected government. Why they just couldn't call it for what it is, I'll never understand. And I think it's really important as a political party that we make a stand against aspects of the right wing which are likely to permeate through our own political parties. Now, I certainly have never thought as the Liberal Party as being as right wing as the Republican Party is in the US. However, I'm starting to have my doubts. I do wonder whether or not they are leaning more and more to the right wing by their inability to be able to define what happens in the US in the harshest possible way. That it reminds me of what the Republican Party members of Congress have done in relation to Donald Trump over the last 5 years. Particularly last 4 years. For the first year, when he was running for candidate, they were more than happy to have a go at him for the way he behaved and the outlandish things that he said. And they were very critical of him, but then they fall in line when he develops a certain amount of power, hence the presidency. And I think that it's really important that we understand that rhetoric, that the sort of sycophant behaviour that is typical, I guess, of what we see in the Republican Party is something that we should not experience here. But it appears that that's not necessarily the case. That here in Australia, we are just as likely to start to hear people not condemn things that are definitely condemnable, such as riots and so forth, instigated by Trump and his supporters. And just want to show you what McCormick had to say in relation to this. And here we have a quote where he says that the US Capitol building by rioters, or the storming of the US Capitol building by rioters, was unfortunate, and that he accused Twitter of censorship for permanently suspending Trump's account for the risk of further incitement of violence, and he attempted to draw a comparison between the riots of last year's Black Lives Matter protest against racial injustice. And we know that the Black Lives Matter issue, like if there were black people or coloured people who were rioting in the same way as these people did on Wednesday last week, then I am sure there would have been a stack of deaths, that the police would have been out there in numbers to start with, and that they would have shot people who were trying to break in. But because they're white, so here we are faced with the issue around white supremacy. White people, it appears, if they're en masse, can do whatever they like. But if you're a black person, you can't. And even though there was lots of looting and there was a whole lot of other stuff happening with regard to Black Lives Matter. Remember, Black Lives Matter has happened over a long period of time, and it was a movement that took place worldwide. And the majority of the time, those protests were peaceful. There were some outbreaks, no one's going to dispute that. But the majority of the time, those protests were peaceful. We have one major rally here, with the president inciting this group of people, and he incites them in such a way that he encourages them to attack the Congress on the basis of a lie. So I'm mentioning this through the Child Protection Party because the facts are important. The truth is important. We know at CPP that there are many distortions of the truth that, in effect, on many occasions means that kids are taken away and that kids are not returned because of certain belief systems that certain people have. We understand that. When the facts are presented around child protection issues that a person has developed and changed, often those facts aren't accepted. So I understand the importance of facts. I understand how facts can be distorted. And I certainly can understand how people will use the facts that best suit their argument than accepting other facts which may be more aligned with the truth. So I get all of that, experience that. But on a political sense, we need to accept the facts. The facts in the US election clearly were that Joe Biden won. But the fact that our leaders are saying that this is a censorship thing done by Twitter. Look, if Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all the other people are saying that Trump incites violence, does that mean then that we allow that violence to be resurrected, to be catalyzed in some way? Does that mean then that it's acceptable to have someone incite violence, and we consider that because that's free speech, that is the right thing to do? So if someone decided to attack my place, and they got a group of people together, and they all came around to my place, and they started to throw rocks at my window, are they only violating the law when they break a window? Or are they violating the law because they've encouraged me, or they've encouraged... I just forgot to turn my phone off. Are they violating the law because they have... because someone has incited them? So the person that's incited them to that violence, have they therefore broken the law? Of course they have. But is that free speech? If someone breaks the law in that way, is that free speech? Well, I guess it is. They're entitled to speak freely. But if you say something that's a racial slur, if you say something that's a racial slur, for example, at the cricket the other day, you can be kicked out of the cricket match. But should that person or those people have been kicked out of the cricket match for slurring on an Indian? No. I think they should have been not only kicked out, I think they should be fined, they should be locked up, they should be banned. A whole host of other things should happen to them, apart from being kicked out. So, there are laws that says that we cannot incite violence, right? So if a company like Facebook choose to say to an individual, look, you can't do what you're doing anymore, and I've got a friend of mine who continually is being banned from Facebook for making the slightest comment, and sometimes very misunderstood and comments that are taken out of context, and he gets banned, right? And then we're complaining about Donald Trump being banned, and we're calling that censorship. No. Well, actually, yes, it is censorship, but they're entitled to censor information which they believe is harmful on their platform. They are not a government department. And I would ask, can government departments make the same sort of claim? Can they say that? Would they allow on their websites, on any of their platforms, the sorts of comments that it's okay for Donald Trump and his people to make? No, they wouldn't. Would you have a job? If you had some of the views that Donald Trump had in government, would you have a job? No, you wouldn't. Is it appropriate, therefore, that organisations have chosen to not support Donald Trump financially because of the way he has behaved? Of course it's their right. Just as it is Facebook, Twitter and whatever, their right to kick Donald Trump off their platforms. Of course it's right. Now, we as a political party support free speech. We do. But there are always limits. You cannot say, and you should not say, things that are going to be offensive, hurtful, that have racial tendencies. Like we called on Cathy Taylor a few months ago to resign because there was an issue in relation to her not telling the minister about some of the things that have been occurring in her department. It was appropriate that we make that call, right? We didn't slur her. We just said that she needed to resign. We'll criticise and critique people, and that's fine. But we cannot slur them. We cannot say things about them that are of a racial nature, that are vilifying them in some way, or that is encouraging other people to take action which is eventually going to harm or hurt that person. And for our government, McCormick and others, to take this particular stand that they have is also distressing. And there was another comment here I wanted to talk about, which I saw on news.com.au, and I can't quite find it now. I can't find it. So, and I guess the final thing I need to say is that if we do not monitor what other people are saying and calling it out for what it is, then we're compliant. We're giving them tacit permission to be able to say whatever it is that they need to say in a way that they believe gets the message across, as wrong as that might be. We need to make a stand against people saying things that are going to be harmful, hurtful, or potentially dangerous to other people. We need to be able to do that. And there are ways by which we can do that. And we need to be have the courage, I think, to be able to say those things so that we, particularly as a political party, it's important that we, I did a video on this a few weeks ago, where it's important for us to be transparent. It's important that we be able to say whatever it is that we need to say in a way that is honest, it's truthful. Like this conversation we're having right now is a truthful conversation about how I feel about a certain issue, which has political ramifications. So, and if I contravene any of this and someone calls me out on it, then I would apologise for that because I've already made the stand, I've already made the statement, and it's not helpful for us to yell and scream and shout at other people, but it is helpful for us to call out their behaviour when their behaviour is hurting or harming others, and that's what we do. So thanks everybody for being with me. I just want to make one final comment here, is that if you're watching, you will be watching this on Facebook because that's where I'll be sending this. But if you are, I'd like you to subscribe or ring the bell, and I'd like you to share what it is that we're saying so that you can let other people know who we are and what we're about. So thanks everybody for being with us, and we really look forward to catching up with you next time on CPP TV. Take care everybody, look after yourself and be safe.